hello. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, welcome to a yappy. Oh, my bangs are driving me crazy. I hope you're getting some ASMR sounds from me fixing them. I just cut them myself this weekend. I trimmed them myself, but basically cut because they had grown out significantly. Okay. I think that's a bearable level of bang. Based off of that intro, you might be able to guess that this is a yappy AveSMR episode. I made a video talking about my travels back when I was just freshly engaged and traveling around, and 2025 looked beautiful and bright. Not that it's not beautiful and bright, but it is what 2025 has been. I'm being dramatic. I do think 2025 is one of those years that everyone's like, huh? Most of the year, if you're having an amazing 2025, don't listen. But I am not going to doom spiral on you, because this is an ASMR video and you do not come here for doom spirals. Nope, you'll come here for relaxation and hanging things up. If you do want a doom spiral episode, if you think that'd be funny, I could provide. Let me know in the comments if you would like that, but that is not what today is about. Today is about buying engagement rings. It's finally time. Today we're gonna do a little story time video, basically, where I'm gonna talk about my engagement ring buying process. I do think I think everyone does it differently, and I think every generation does it differently, so I think this will be helpful if you are at that phase where you're looking at rings. If you're in the engaged to be engaged phase of life, if you are just curious about how other people did it, you've already done it, or if you just want to hear me yap, if you were married 100 years ago and don't care, if you have never been married and hate the institution, which I don't blame you for, I understand wholeheartedly. I think it's fun to just yap and talk about this kind of stuff too, just because it's interesting. It's an interesting evolution. It's an interesting dynamic and dance that I feel like everyone does so differently now. Obviously I picked mine out. I know a lot of people don't do that and maybe think that's weird. I think basically everyone does it differently. It's kind of maybe, is this anthropology? No, that's a store. Is anthropology? Oh my god, guys. I do not look smart, and I promise you I'm typically pretty smart, but I think it is anthropology, an anthropological study of how this ritual of engagement has evolved throughout the generations, and how our generation, I'm Gen Z and millennials are doing it differently, and how that is reflective of the world we live in. I think there's a lot of factors that kind of play into that. I'm taking such a scientific approach to this, but there's a lot of factors that play into why I chose to get married when, why I'm getting married at the age I'm getting married at, and how that process goes, how my relationship worked going into that process, and why that's different from grandparents who got married within a year, my parents got married much younger than I did. They got married at the week after their college graduation, so I think that would put my mom at maybe 23, and my dad must have only been 22. Isn't that wild? And I'm filming this the day before my birthday, so I'll be 26 tomorrow. 27 when I get married. Yeah, I'll be 27 when I get married, so 5-year difference, which maybe is not a huge number, but 20, the difference between a 22-year-old and a 27-year-old is a big difference. And that if that's a generational standard, are we looking at people getting married in their early 30s who knows? I'm not an anthropologist, as I've decided is the word. But yeah, I've yapped about that enough. I guess the like ASMR-y side of this that I'm gonna add in is I have just like a handful of rings beyond my engagement ring that I'm gonna be kind of like playing with and clamoring a lot around, and I hope it's soothing and ASMR-y and not annoying. I'm enjoying the sound live, so I'm gonna hope that you enjoy it in post, in video format. And in other words, understand film, cinema, whatever. So while I play with these, I guess you don't need a ring tour of all the rings that are in my hand, especially because I've dropped some. I have no idea where they are. But the one that I find really funny is my glass ring. I don't know if you can see that well. You can't really, but it's engraved with my name, and then my school mascot. Which, you know what? I won't tell you. Please don't hack me. But yeah, mascot. Year I graduated, theater signs, and then it's like a purple gem. And I remember getting it fit, and I got it fit to my left ring finger, and the girl was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, that's literally when you do get married. I don't know why. It fits well on my right ring finger now, so whatever. Anyway, story time is finally starting. So, I think the best way to talk about, like, I guess the beginning of the story is not ring shopping. It is, like, because I guess we're talking, like, engagement details, like, engagement planning details. So, we got engaged in Japan in January of 2025, but sometime in the summer of 2024, we were on a walk, and we had previously had this conversation, like the engagement conversation. We like already at that point knew we were getting married, but we like went on a hike, like out to a waterfall in the LA area, and it's a very popular hike. I feel like everyone and their mom has done this hike, but we were on this hike, and I turned to my fiance, and I was just like, well, I didn't turn to him. That's so dramatic. And I turned to my fiance. No, I probably wasn't even looking at him because we were walking either next to each other or in a single file line. But you know, we were just talking about life and stuff, and I was like, so do you want to get married on our 10-year anniversary? Because that's when we are planning on getting married. And he was like, yeah, I thought we already like decided that. And I was like, I didn't know it was set in stone. So that was kind of like the spark of like, we are getting engaged and we have like a goal date for our wedding. That is an appropriate amount of time to get engaged and get married soon-ish. And so that's kind of when we landed on, like, that's when the ball, I felt like, really started rolling. And then, oh, that must have been much earlier than the summertime, because in May, for Mother's Day, I was in my hometown, and I asked my mom if she could take me to look at rings, and she was like, ooh, why are we looking at rings? I was like, I mean, like, that's what's, you know, it's coming, it's in the works. We gotta, like, we have to do my side of the work here, so that the ball can be in Ryan's court. And then, so, lots of stuff happened. We ended up looking online instead of going into a store that day, which I found so very helpful, because basically, I'd been telling my mom I wanted, like, a cool, like, twisty band. I was pretty, I think at the time I wanted, like, a circle cut or, like, a oval cut, like a standard diamond, because, I, like, my mom had this ring growing up that I was obsessed with. It was one, like, regular, like, a solitary diamond. I think it was a circle cut. And then there was an interlocking band, like the bands literally like hooked together, and the interlocking part had this arm, like the wedding band had this arm that was like just like crested like over like the corner of the solitary stone, and that was like diamond encrusted, and I liked that. She lost it. I'm devastated. She lost it on like a business trip in Texas. Like, isn't that so lame? Boo, boo, mom. No, love mom, but I'd like always loved that ring, except for hers was gold, and I knew I wanted silver. But I was like, I want a twisty band. I want like potentially like 2 sapphires on the side. I want this, I want that, and we like spent hours going through a bunch of different ring websites, me being like, I like this, but I don't like this, I don't feel like this is the one, blah 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 blah. And then I started liking the marquee shape, which is what I did end up getting. And like I was looking at this, like we're looking at literally every ring on every website for every place near us, and one of them has like a build your own like design ring section, and my mom took everything I had said I wanted and she built out a ring to like my exact specifications of what I wanted, and she turns around the computer and shows me, and I go, that is the fuckliest thing I have ever seen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so glad we're not in store, and I have just wasted some poor sales associate's like hour of their life designing me the ring I asked for specifically, every word, every detail I wanted, putting it all together, building me what should have been my quote-unquote dream ring, show it to me just for me to be like, ew, it's ugly, I hate it. So that kind of put us back to the drawing board, and then during that process, basically, like, I found a ring or two that I was like, I found a ring that I was like, that's the ring. You tell Ryan. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, at some point in the next few months, he will come to you and he will ask for the ring, and you will show him this ring, and he will go buy it, and I will pretend like we never had this conversation. And I thought we were like done, and then I like basically like months passed. We planned our trip. It became like, you know, like the trip was in December, and I had decided let us buy the ring in November because, well, like we collectively decided. I was kind of like, Ryan was basically just like waiting for me to be like, go buy that one, and like figure, like I need to figure out the logistics of it, because then I was like, I thought I picked my ring, and then I was talking to my mom, and she was like, you should try it on in person, and like all this stuff, and I was like, what? I thought we decided. I don't want to like do more work. Like, what do you mean? And then basically, what else? Like, basically, and my mom was also like, she was very skeptical of the marquee diamond, because I think that's very in now. Like, I think Gen Z is loving the marquee. And also, okay, hear me out. Selena Gomez got a marquee diamond. I picked mine before Selena Gomez got engaged, and now I know everybody is gonna be getting a marquee diamond because Selena Gomez, I know she's like doesn't have a fundamental influence, but because it's like not that Selena Gomez doesn't have a fundamental influence, but like it's not like everyone's like, I want Selena Gomez's ring. I think it's like because Selena Gomez got a marquee, she's like a very like signifier of the taste of our generation. And also, like, when a celebrity does that, like, other people are gonna be like, marquee. Like, I feel like that was like a very big signifier that this is going to be the trend of our generation, is marquee diamonds. And I thought I was doing it independently, so don't be mad at me. And I picked it before Selena. Anyway, part of my crash out was my mom was very skeptical of the marquee, and was basically like, you should buy off of Amazon like a $2 marquee shaped ring and wear it for a few days and make sure it's not like snagging on everything and it's like a pain in the butt. And I was like, okay, good point, I'll do that. So I bought a like rinky dinky, is that a thing that people say still? But I got like a literally like $3 ring off of Amazon. It came bent, like super broken, like it was really cheap. But I wore it around for like a couple days. The real thing was I cleaned like my whole kitchen and whole bathroom. Like I did like a big cleaning day in the ring, and I was like, okay, if I can clean all this stuff in this ring and it's not getting in the way, then I think I can wear it forever. And sometimes it does get snagged on stuff, and I do always think like my mother warned me, but that might be the case with another ring anyway, so I love my ring and I think it's fine. Anyway, so I wore a marquee ring. I was like, yes, I want a marquee. And we kind of like decided like when I am in Colorado for the holidays, I will go like actually look at rings at places. And there was one place on the way back from the airport that I was like, they have like 1 or 2 rings that I just want to try on just to see in person, and then I'll look like in other places. So then fiance and I fly, landing in Colorado, and then we drive from the airport and we stop at, like, it's funny because he had slept maybe 0 like hours, like he was up for like 24 hours because we had a morning flight, and he is the kind of person who's like, 8 a.m. flight, guess I won't sleep, which I don't agree with, but not my body, not my problem. So he's super sleepy, and like basically we stop on the way from the airport, and I'm like, just in or out, just like quick in, quick out. Gonna pick this ring, gonna try this on, go somewhere else, it'll be fine. But I'm gonna like quick in and out, and then you get to go to sleep because you chose to not sleep, which is your problem. Anyway, so we go in and like we start looking at rings, and I'm like, I want to see these 2, and they're like, one of them no longer exists, but you can see the other one. And then they just kind of like started the whole process, and I was like, oh, I guess we're doing the whole process. So basically the process of that is like, you like get a little tray and you walk around the whole store, you go past every single ring, and like with your sales associate, and they like will pull them out, and you can basically have 3 at a time. So you pull them out and you try them on, and you go, I like this one, I don't like this one, give it back, swap it out, and then you go through all 3. So we like went through, picked out all our rings. What was crazy is we also ran into someone who went to the same college I went to. We had no overlap, but it's like a small college, not in that state, and they were also getting a marquee diamond, which was like crazy. And also, like I said, it's gonna be it's trendy, but I'm a free thinker, and I picked the trendy thing before I knew it was trendy, and I love it anyway. So you go through, and you go through with your very fancy lunch tray, and you go, I like this ring, I hate this ring, and like there were things that were like, do not like thick bands. I found that I didn't super like a lot of bling. I really was like, it's gonna be a marquee, so I was like just trying to picture the marquee in there and like the bling aspect of it all. And so we're trying them on. We go through. It's both of my parents and my fiance and me. Like we got like a crew going through looking at these rings. It's pretty popping. I guess ring stores are busy on a Saturday. But yeah, we look at like every ring. I find a few I like, and like one of them was the one I had picked out like online and thought like that would be a contender. And then the one that there was the one I'm wearing right now. Yeah, it was between this one that was like online and a little more blingy, and then the one I'm wearing now, which is like very similar to the one that I saw online, but like prettier in my opinion. Like, because I didn't like the one I saw online was like a thick band, and this one is like a fun shape, like a wavy shape, but it's made out of 3 smaller interlocking bands, so it kind of has that like waving shape that I liked about my mom's ring. And like that, I really did want like an interesting shape ring, like in the band. Like I wanted it to be more like structurally, geometrically interesting. So yeah, I ended up with this ring and another ring, and we like went back, and then like basically you take your lunch tray and you have your rings you like, and then they're like, so what's your diamond budget? And you give them your diamond budget and what shape you want. And I was very like, marquee, only show me a marquee. So they didn't bring out any options or anything, just marquee. tweezers, and they like gently lower the different diamonds into like the setting so you can kind of see it, but you have to keep your hand like very still and very flat so it doesn't like fall out. I do think I dropped potentially this exact diamond at one point, which is funny because we were talking about like all the jewelry store drama of like sometimes like they were saying someone had like a $30,000 diamond or whatever, that just like, and I think they'd already bought the diamond, like it was in their jewelry, but it fell out of a setting at some point, like in there, and they had to like shut down, like nobody could go in or out of this building. Like everyone had to be on lockdown until they could find wherever this diamond fell on the floor because it was like that valuable. So like that's the kind of drama you're looking at, and that's why you only get to see 3 diamonds at a time. And I wonder if like you're seeing the like super expensive diamonds, if they like only bring out one or something. Maybe there's a number on it. I don't know, because that's not what I was looking at. But oh, and then like another part of that process is they ask you like, when they ask you your diamond budget, I was like, lab grown. I'm looking for lab grown, which, you know, is cheaper, so you get a little more bling. And it is fundamentally the same as a natural diamond. And I do think there is like a ethical like argument for lab grown diamonds, because you know that, like, you know, if we really take a hard look at this whole industry, it's bad. The whole wedding thing's bad. The whole diamond industry's bad. I'm sure, I just don't know all of the bad things, and maybe people will tell me in the comments, but like maybe not. Maybe let me live in my bliss here. About lab grown gemstones. But yeah, I mean, as much as I'd like to be like, I think that lab-grown diamonds are more ethical, that was the driving factor behind my decision. It was money. I mean, like, it's so much cheaper to get like a better, clearer, nicer diamond, and also it just like doesn't really make sense in my like if we're talking real, like for a while, because I was looking at diamonds and rings, I ended up on like diamond ring like TikTok, at like they were talking about like the value of regular diamonds are going down because of the competition from lab grown diamonds. So like I don't really get the draw of buying a earth diamond anymore. I'm sure someone will market it or come up with a reason soon, but like I guess to me I was like, I'm not really seeing a difference here except for in price tag, and I'm not seeing a reason at all why it's worth it. So that's my rant. If I'm dreadfully uninformed, again, maybe you could just let me live in my bliss and don't tell me why all the reasons I'm wrong, or maybe you could. I don't really care. What happened happened. I'm wearing the lab grown diamond and I live with that and I love it. So that's my tangent. Anyway, so yeah, we like looked and we had like the little diamonds when I'm like with the tweezers, and like it was like basically then they were like, okay, you want to like get a band to go with it, like what's by the ring, the engagement ring and the band, because like especially with my like very specifically shaped like engagement ring, it was kind of like, do we think a wedding band's gonna work? Like how do we think a wedding band's gonna work? So the like guy I was working with initially went to go, and he like, you know, you're just like sitting there chatting, and he goes back and he like pulls out some rings, and he comes back and he like gives me like some bands to try on, and he puts them on, and I'm like, I hate all of these. They're really ugly. So I was like, uh-oh. And then I guess he just kind of tapped out and sent over a lady, and he was like, this is, I'm gonna call her Erica, I don't think that's her name. And he was like, and she's the wedding band like aficionado. She knows what goes on with wedding bands, and she always picks the right band. So she picked out a few bands for me. And like, again, I wasn't really bling heavy. I was like, I wanted it to be more like structured. So I ended up with like a band that like complements the shape, and like she was great because was like, we looked at like a full set that was designed to go together, but I was like, it's cute, it looks very vintage, but it's just not my band. And then we tried out some blingy stuff that I was like, no, I don't really like. For me, like, I don't like the ones that like shoot out, just because like, I don't know why I don't like it. It's just not what I like on my finger. So almost certainly not named Erica, like, got me set up with my band, and I was like, I love this set. And then we were like looking between two diamonds, and this is gonna sound really bougie, but I was looking between my current diamond and then a more expensive diamond that was 2 carats, and I was like sitting there like, I don't know what I want, and my fiance was like, just do what you want, it doesn't matter, like, we'll figure it out either way. And I was like sitting there staring at them, and I think I like kind of had a like capitalist brain rot where I was like, oh, but having a 2-carat ring means I get to be like, and I have a 2-carat ring, it's 2 carats, it's 2 carats. But like looking at them, they were almost virtually identical, especially like from over the top. Like, there was not that big of a difference. Like, it was slight, but like once you put it in the setting, it's like, okay, and this is different now, you know. And the lady who was probably not named Erica literally was like, okay, and the difference between those 2 diamonds that were to the naked eye, or my naked eye, virtually the same. Like, one was slightly bigger, but not that much bigger. And she was like, yeah, they're like slightly different. That one's slightly bigger, but do you think it's $1,000 bigger? And I was like, no, it's not $1,000 bigger, girl who's not named Erica. You're right. And then she kind of like snapped me out of my ego for a second, which, like, I don't know, that's really cool of a salesperson to do, I guess, because it's usually they're like, I guess I'm not supposed to trust you because you want me to spend the most money, but like, she got it. She like really knew me. I was like, thank you. Like, I don't know, she was always like, I can read your face and you like that band. And I was like, she can read my face and I do like that band. So we basically decided on my diamond and my band and my ring. And at that point, it was like we had gone in being like, and we're not gonna buy a ring today. It's just like we're looking. And they were like, and like the salesperson was like, yeah, but like we can hold this stuff for you for a while, and you can just like go look at other stuff and try other stuff on. And I kind of like looked at my entire family standing above me, and I was like, I don't want to do this twice. I really like the ring I have. Let's buy it. So that is how we settled on the ring. And then my fiance started buying it, and he started buying it with his personal credit card. But we have a joint credit card that we're trying to rack up points for the honeymoon on. And I was like, whoa, 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 joint credit card. But he still paid for all of it. But it was funny, like, getting to watch, because like he literally had been sitting there, like he was very quiet the whole time until I picked the, like, was really like circling it on my ring, and then he was like, no, I really like it. Like, I think he was trying to like let me do my thing and choose, like he was trying to like let me choose what I liked, because he was like, it's not super his business what I wear every day for the rest of my life, and it's more so what I want. And like he was very, but then like it was really nice, because then once I did choose my ring, he was like, I love all of these, I love the shape of it, I love how geometric of it is, I love how it's like really showing off the diamond and like not like pulling attention away from it. It's like about like highlighting the diamond. And I was like, yes. And it was like, I don't know, very vindicating to be like, I love when we agree about things. Like, isn't that the best thing in a relationship, when you're like, I love when we agree about everything, and it makes me happy when you want the things I want too. So that was fun. And then we bought the ring, and then on the way back to the airport, my fiance's mom drove us to the airport, and then we picked up the ring, and I got to try it on and be like, and then he had to carry it home, because I was like, not my ring. Not my ring yet, you haven't given it to me. So he carried it home, and I spent the whole flight being like, do you still have then I think we got home a couple weeks later. I insured it before we were even engaged because I was like so stressed out about it. It's like, I must have insurance on this ring. So now I have insurance on it, and also if I get it cleaned every 6 months at the place I bought it, they will replace the diamond if it falls out, so I don't feel too stressed at all about ring stuff and losing it at this current moment. But yeah, that was how I got my engagement ring. And then I immediately sniffed it out in the house where he hid it, and when we went on vacation together, I immediately sniffed out that it was on the vacation. And I guess I will say, from the like anthropological thing, I do think that like we went into our trip with an understanding that like we were going to get engaged. Like I would have been, because we didn't get engaged before we were on the trip, if we landed back on American soil after the trip, I would have been like, well, where is my ring? This is ridiculous. So, you know, and I think that is becoming more common. I do think, in my mind, I've been calling it an engagement moon. And I think, like, to get anthropological and, like, zoom out from just my specific situation, I think it's very common for couples to be together a long time now. And I am not a scientist, but, like, my theories are probably, there's less pressure to have children young in this generation. It's financially harder for people at the age of like their early 20s to like support a family, and like their like careers seem to be starting a little later than maybe they did beforehand, especially like not even Gen X but like boomers and stuff. Like it was much easier to support a family with an early career than it is now. There's also just like cultural, like people say we're like growing up slower now, like we're moving out of our parents' homes slower, we're like cutting the umbilical cord slower than previous generations did, and there's probably a lot of factors for that. And I think like for a lot of us, because we don't live in a cult, especially like I feel like at least growing up, like there's no reason that I have to marry my partner. Like I don't feel like I need to be married. I just want to be married. Like I'd like to do that. But I don't feel much societal pressure. Our families really were never being like, when are you getting engaged? Which I was kind of like, so does nobody want to nag us about this? You guys don't care enough to nag us? No, it's good that they're not nagging us, but like I didn't feel like familial pressure. I didn't feel religious pressure. I didn't feel societal pressure. I don't think the like benefits of being married in our society really like outweigh that much being single. So it really just feels like a choice that we were making at a time where we could more support ourselves and live an independent life, and that just is happening later in life than I feel like it happened for previous generations. And I think that's kind of an across the board, like a very common occurrence. So I do think, because you do have these couples who are dating longer, further into life, when they get engaged, like they're not getting engaged in college, they have like jobs, but like if I'm comparing my parents to me, my parents like were in school their whole engagement and were planning their wedding while in college. Wild. And I am planning a wedding while I have a job that I've been at for over 3 years. So I have my job pretty under control. I can make a guest list on the side during like downtime at work, It's just a very different setup. And because also I have a job, like I have the like resources and time to plan a big vacation with my partner, like like when we were at the point where we could go on the big vacation is almost like coinciding with, because it's like equal factors about the factors we decide to get married, like the flexibility and resources and stability we've built has allowed us to get engaged, and those are also things that allow us to take a vacation. I think that is why a lot of people are going on engagement moves, because it is something that, like, I don't know, there's more build up to now, and like it is like becoming intense. Like, you know, I've heard of cliffside drone shot international like proposals, you know. And I don't think your proposal has to be crazy. I don't think you have to go on vacation. I just think it's interesting, this trend. I think there's a lot of interesting factors, and I'm thinking there's probably going to be a think piece on wherever think pieces go now that's like, why Gen Z loves engagement modes, and they're going to say all the reasons I just said, and they're going to be a scientist, so it's going to be written out really well, but they could probably quote me if you are an anthropologist, which I've decided is a real thing and not a store, and you think I'm right. Feel free to quote AveSMR in your study about Gen Z and engagement modes, because of the Gen Z people I know. This is like going off of Instagram, but most of them seem to have been like, I would say it's over 50% of the Gen Z people I know got engaged on a vacation. But I haven't done any real math because I'm not a scientist. I'm an ASM artist, so I'm not being fact checked. Anyway, that's how I got engaged. This is my ring. You probably can't see it that well. I'll post a picture of the ring as the thumbnail. It's awesome. I love it. I'm excited to get married, and I like wearing a ring every day, and I like my diamond, and it's actually something I've told my fiance. I was like, oh, I like diamonds, and it's my birthstone, so you have to buy me more. Anyway, I hope you have a good